monitoring solution with a unified management console. They are tightly integrated with our OData and PowerShell APIs and offer you great insights on your Zendesk site. So they can monitor live data from almost anything in an app, Zendesk or running Windows OS. And they are very popular in the community. Do check out our Citrix blogs if you haven't already. You will find great details there and also free to script tools to plug into your environment. All right. I'll let them do the rest of the talking, but a couple of housekeeping items before that for questions you have during the webinar. Please type them down in the question panel available on the right-hand side. As the webinar progresses, a couple of us will answer you questions. We'll also take questions in middle and also at the end. All right, without a further ado, I'll roll over the dice to Yoni Avtal. Please welcome our main speaker, Yoni. Hey, Yoni, I welcome you to this webinar. Now hand it over to you.
Hey, Sugnit. Yeah, thanks. Hi, everyone. It's Yoni here. Really excited to do this webinar with Citrix Ready. It's now probably a tradition, every time we release a new build or have some big news to tell, we do it with the Citrix Ready guys, and it's great. There are a lot of NMDs out there, so I'm really excited to share with you guys some updates from ControlUp. And obviously, the main dish, as usual, would be a live demo of some of the new things, and I think you'll find it quite interesting. So let's quickly cover the agenda, but before that, as Sagnif said, feel free to ask questions, right? That's the whole point here, ask questions regarding something you see on screen or anything else you want. We'll try to answer either during the webinar or offline, so feel free. Right, so I'll start with some quick updates from our side, from the vendor side. We'll do a quick overview of the architecture. I think it's important that you understand how ControlUp works, so we'll cover that in a bit. And then, as promised, we'll cover the new features in ControlUp in V6, in Insights. Well, the main theme here will be both to cover our new Zen desktop integration piece, which, as Sagnip mentioned, is really great. We're actually integrating with both the OData API to give you excellent visibility for your entire Zen desktop site, broker health, delivery groups, etc. You'll see it quite soon. And beyond that, we'll share some pretty interesting troubleshooting scenarios. Okay, so how to troubleshoot user experience issues, bandwidth issues, slow logons, anything which we see are quite common at customer sites. And we'll end the live demo part with some of the reports we have in ControlUp Insights, troubleshoot some performance issues, cover user sessions, etc. And hopefully we'll have some time. I want to share with you some interesting facts we have from our collective analytics database. Our data keeps growing as our customer base is growing, and we have some really interesting facts to share. So hopefully we'll have some time towards the end of the webinar. Okay, so just a few basic quick updates. Probably the most interesting fact is that ControlUp version 6 is out. Okay, this is really exciting for us. We worked on V6 for a long time. The beta was running in the last couple of months, and actually earlier this week we officially launched ControlUp V6. So we just, you can just browse our website, download ControlUp V6, and start enjoying the new features. And we'll cover them again in the live demo. In addition to the ControlUp real-time console, we also keep enhancing ControlUp Insights. So we actually, we launched Insights earlier this year, back in January, and since then I'm really happy to say that each and every month we actually release a new Insights build, which means new reports, new functionality. We already have export functionality, bookmarks, new reports like Citrix license usage, which by the way is ControlUp V6 is a requirement for that, computer stats. I will show it to you during the live demo, and you will see the progress we made since the launch. Another interesting fact is that, again, earlier this year, we opened our first U.S. branch in California, which is great, for our customer base, especially in the U.S., because now we have local presence, we have local support, local pre-sales, so it's much easier for us to work with our existing customers in the U.S. and obviously the prospects. And finally, this is more on a personal note. A few months ago, one of my beloved, and most, I think, one of the most esteemed Citrix CDPs actually joined us part-time. It's Andrew Morgan from Ireland. So he's doing all kinds of stuff with us, writing scripts, writing blogs. He's also actually helping us write some utilities which will be either a standalone or integrate with ControlUp. We're now working on a logon simulator utility. Hopefully we can share some more details about that next month. So it's really great to have Andrew on board. He's been doing a lot of great things, and expect some more things to come in the recent future. Okay, so the architecture. So this is a very high-level overview of how ControlUp works. Let's cover some of the components, and then we'll dive into the demo. So our most common deployment mode is what we call the enterprise or the online mode. When you work in this mode, we're actually handling all the back-end components. Okay, so the way ControlUp works is as follows. From a data collection point of view, we have our own agent running on each Windows guest. This could be, a Zendesk VM, your PVS server, your SQL server, any supporting infrastructure, Exchange, domain controller, whatnot. So the agent run inside the guest OS to bring us these, rich metrics about user experience, process data, everything. Besides that, we also collect data from the hypervisors. So we actually connect remotely to the vSphere API or the ZenServer API, or new in v6, the Hyper-V API, and we get data about your virtualization hosts. This is great because it allows us to see both the physical layer, right, the actual host which run the VMs, and also to get data about the VMs besides what we get from the guest OS. And new in v6, by the way, we have a brand new data collector. We are now communicating with the Zendesk site, and I'll cover that in a bit once we reach the live demo. So what's happening on the customer environment is basically data collection, and the data collection actually sends the data both to the ControlUp console, which is our real-time module. You can see it in the lower middle part of the screen. And in addition, data is sent to the ControlUp monitor. The ControlUp monitor is basically an essential piece of an essential component. It's running as a Windows service on a dedicated VM, and it's in charge of both 24/7 alerts and incident triggers, and it's also in charge of uploading historical data to ControlUp Insights. Okay, so again, the main components running at the customer environment is the agents, the data collectors, the real-time consoles, and the monitor service. From the backend perspective, we host the configuration database, the historical database. We can save data up to 1 year for each customer, depending on the license type, obviously. And Insight itself, it's a full hosted solution. So from your end, in order to consume reports and analytics, you just need to open a browser, browse to insights.controlup.com and get the data. Okay. Now we also offer an on-prem solution. So if a customer for any reason cannot work with the cloud-based mode, you can host the ControlUp server and the database locally. So just so you know that option is available for any customer basically. Okay. So as promised, let's move on to the main dish, the live demo. Okay. So what you're seeing right now on screen, this is the ControlUp real-time module. Okay, this is where we do the live, the live troubleshooting, the real-time monitoring of all kinds of metrics, maintenance, and so on and so forth. On the left side of the console, you can see the tree that includes all the managed objects. So starting from v6, we basically support, I would say, 3 kinds of components or objects. One is the hypervisor itself. Okay, so you can go here and actually add your hypervisors. We added support for Hyper-V in v6, so it's a simple matter of choosing Hyper-V and adding it into the console. Another new feature in v6 is the Zendesk site. So you can actually connect ControlUp to any of your Zendesk site by simply pointing ControlUp to your broker and providing valid credentials. That's pretty much it. And of course, as usual, and this was always the case with ControlUp, you can add your Windows computers, deploy our lightweight agent, and get the rich data from the agent itself. Okay, so we basically aggregate and combine all of these data sources and display the data here in the various views you see here. So folders, which now includes delivery groups and hypervisor connections, hosts, VMs, sessions, processes, etc. Let's start with just to clarify. So Hyper-V support is available starting with 6. You can see here we have actually a Hyper-V cluster. So it works just like vSphere and XenServer worked in previous versions. You can see the host. You can see stats about the host for data store usage, latency, network, etc. And you can always drill down to a specific Hyper-V host and see the VMs, and from there to drill down to a specific VM, etc. So that's great. Any of the Hyper-V customers out there, and now you can see your host in ControlUp. Okay, moving on. So probably the biggest feature we added in V6 is the Zen desktop integration piece. So here you can see I integrated ControlUp with a site called XD7. Now the way it works behind the scenes is as follows. Okay, so from the customer perspective, the only configuration piece you need to configure is one of the broker names or IP addresses and valid credentials. This could even be a Zen desktop read-only admin. We don't require full rights. But if you want to utilize some of the actions, you probably want to grant this user also the rights to enable, disable maintenance mode or delivery groups. Now, once this is configured, we automatically detect the brokers in the site, and they will automatically appear here in the broker failover list. So basically, even if the primary broker failed, we can still get data from any of the other brokers running inside the site. Besides discovering the brokers, we are also discovering the data collectors, the delivery groups. You can see it in here. So this is a dynamic list of delivery groups based on your environment, right? And it's fully dynamic. So this means basically that if you remove a delivery group, it will automatically appear or disappear from this list, which is pretty great because it saves the manual work of configuring folders, etc. So beyond discovering brokers and delivery groups, we also discover all the VDAs in your site, all the sessions, and we show some pretty cool metrics about each and every metric. Okay, so let's start with some of the things we have here. So the view you're seeing here, this is the folders view, and here we have some some aggregated metrics about the entire site. So if you look on the site level itself, this is the folder representing the entire site. So we can see, for example, how many delivery groups are currently configured in the site. We can see how many VDAs are configured, how many user sessions running in this specific site. This is interesting. This will show you in percentage how many of the brokers are actually healthy. And by healthy, I mean, let me show you, okay? We can drill down into the brokers folder, and we will list each and every broker running in your site, and for each broker we have a health score. Now the health score is actually based, so we are constantly checking via the PowerShell API. We're checking the states of the services and database connections, and if everything is great, the score will be 100%. Lower the score, etc. Okay, so you can get a detailed view about each broker, and you can see also the overall score for the entire site. Okay, I see a quick question from the audience, actually from Carl Webster. Hi, Carl. So he's asking, what's the refresh rate for showing new or removed delivery groups? So in general, I can say that the refresh rate or the sample rate for each and every Zen desktop site component is 10 seconds. Okay, so you can expect a 10 seconds refresh rates, both for new delivery groups and also for new sessions or new VDAs. Okay, and another question I see which relates to the brokers, the question is why one broker is showing a flat name and one broker is showing the FQDN? Well, that's because in this case, only this broker, TSO2, is also configured as a managed computer. So it's also, we have the agent running, that's why we display the flat name. This broker here, it's not configured, the agent is not installed there. So we're showing the FQDN because this is what we're getting from the Zen desktop site. Okay, so one great thing we're doing here in ControlUp, we show you the broker health. It's all in real time. It's very detailed. You see each and every service and database, and obviously you can get notification if something breaks. okay, by using our by now pretty well-known incident trigger mechanism. Okay, let's look on the delivery groups. I think it's pretty interesting. So I'm going to focus on the delivery group root folder. And what you will see in here, you'll see a line for each delivery group. Okay, now for each, like for example, how many VDAs are configured in the delivery group, how many of them are available. This is pretty interesting. Okay, this percentage you see here, user sessions, and all kinds of stats about VDAs and sessions, right? So how many failed connections we had, how many computers are currently in use, right? This is for desktop VDAs. How many are currently disconnected? How many are unregistered? So everything that you might see in Director or Studio, but I think the layout here is much more intuitive. Okay. Now, one thing I want to stress here is this column here. Okay, so the column I'm highlighting right now, the actually delivery group availability column, this is our very own ControlUp column. And what we're doing in here, we're actually simplifying, I would say, monitoring of delivery groups. And by looking on this specific column, you can quickly say if it's available or not. Okay, so basically this column looks on a few other metrics, like the delivery group state, the delivery group maintenance mode, and it's also looking on the percent of available computer. And if any one of these metrics is not in the proper state, the delivery group will be not available. Like you can see in here, for example, that this delivery group, it's enabled, the maintenance mode is off, but because there are no available computers, it's not available, right? And again, I think it's a great way to simplify things. You can obviously drill down to any of the delivery groups and see the actual VDAs. Okay, so I just drilled down to this delivery group here. You can see we have 3 VDAs. You can see that one of them is available, but the others are not available, and in this case it's because maintenance mode is turned on. Okay, I can actually from here, without opening Directory or Studio, I can go ahead and select these VDAs. I can go ahead and disable maintenance mode, and again, based on that 10 seconds refresh rate, what I'm expecting to see is that the maintenance mode is again will switch to a turn off, like you see here, and then they become available. Okay, so again, it's all in real time. We're combining both common management actions and visibility across VDAs and delivery groups.
Hey Yanni, can you talk a bit more about agent footprint? A couple of people are asking that you guys are utilizing an agent to get in guest data. What is an agent footprint? Does it have any known compatibility issues?
No, yeah, sure, for sure. So first, one thing which is important to note is that everything I've shown so far regarding the Zendesk integration does not require an agent. Okay, so everything, the Zendesk feature is agentless, and you can get a lot of data, as you can see, without deploying an agent. Now, let's look on this case, for example. You see this VDA here. Here we actually have our agent. Okay, so these guys, we have the data, but we can't drill down. If I double-click here, I can't see anything beside the sessions, which again are coming from Zen Desktop. But if I will drill down to the VDA, we also have our agents. You can see, for example, we can also see the process data, which is pretty cool, and we can see all kinds of other stuff. So if you want to see our agent, this is it would be this guy here. Let's see, where is CUagent.exe? Okay, so this is our agents, right? This is the service running on each managed endpoint, and you can see the footprint, right? So it's usually 0-1% CPU, 90 megs of RAM, and 0 I/O. So the footprint is really low. We're not utilizing, drivers or hooks, so no compatibility issues. And overall, we did a very thorough work to make sure the agent is not an issue. A reboot is not required. You can install it on demand, so it's really great. Okay, so far we have seen, broker health. We have seen some of the delivery groups items. Let's look on the VDAs. So you've seen some of that already, but I just want to stress out that we basically took everything that Director or Studio show, and we put it in here. Okay, so we can see some of the metrics showing you for VDAs. Obviously, registration states, par state, maintenance mode state, and additional metrics like the catalog, the delivery group, the broker who currently serves the VDA version. So a lot of stats about VDAs. And as usual in ControlUp, you can do something like this, right? You can go and drag, I don't know, let's go ahead and drag the XD broker column in here, and now we will group the, sorry, let's try it again. Okay, now we're actually grouping this grid based on the broker that serves the VDA. So we can quickly see which VDAs are being serviced by TSO2 and which VDAs are being serviced by TSO1. Okay, great for troubleshooting or all kinds of actions you guys need to perform. So lots of stats about the VDA. And obviously the availability metric, which is, I think, because in here, even more so than delivery group, here the logic behind the availability column that we calculate is based on quite a few interesting metrics. Maintenance mode, registration states, number of sessions, the Zen upload index. So we calculate all of them, and based on the real-time stats, we decide if the VDA is actually available to end users or not. Okay, and finally, we discover using the Zen desktop integration feature, we discover the sessions. Okay, so these sessions are sessions that we discovered via the OData API, and you see we have quite a few metrics and metadata about them. So the session states, the hosting VDA, the logon stats logon duration stats coming from the desktop. By the way, this is different stats from our very own logon duration. In most cases, I would say that if you ever agent deployed, I would go and look on our own logon duration module. It's sometimes it's more accurate, but if you don't deploy agents, you can definitely use the XD logon duration module. And we have a lot of metadata about the sessions. The protocol, the receiver version, the client IP and name, which, and this is pretty important, right? You can see here which NetScaler or which storefront server was used to launch the session. Okay, so this is pretty intense. You can see it in here, and again, you can do group by. You can see, okay, let's see how many sessions were brokered via, in this case, our legacy CSG system, and how many were brokered via the storefront sites. And it's pretty powerful. Okay, and the final thing I want to show you before we move on is the fact that I mentioned, but I want to highlight. So by combining the Zen desktop integration feature and our agent and the hypervisor connection, you can get, finally, this is something you can do with the built-in tools in Citrix, you can actually get, both real-time performance metrics and metadata for your VDAs. Okay, just so to explain this, let's look here. These are the VDAs. Okay, let's look on one of the presets we have here. I think it's probably, let's see if I remember which one is that. No, it's not that one. Yeah, okay, so it's this preset here, okay? You see we have really interesting metrics aggregated from all of our data sources. So first, for VDA you can see, let's say for example, the maintenance mode or registration state. This is coming from Zen Desktop, okay? You can see, for example, CPU usage. This is coming from an agent. You can see the IOPS, right? The IOPS, this is coming from vSphere. So great metrics coming from different data sources in a single screen. You can't beat this, and this is great for day-to-day maintenance and troubleshooting. Okay. So this is it for now about the Zen Desktop integration feature. Any questions are welcome, and I want to move on because we have a lot of other exciting stuff to show you. Okay, so another big major step forward we did in V6 is to enhance our user experience module. Okay, so I'm now looking on the sessions view. The sessions view will show me each and every HDX session, or if you're running other platforms, you can see them here as well. So here we will see all of our users in a single place. Okay, and obviously we can sort, we can filter, we can do all the regular stuff we can do with the ControlUp grids. But I want to show you some of the interesting metrics we have for user experience. Okay, so let's look here for a sec. So before V6, and so this is not new for V6, we had the login duration stuff. Okay, we'll cover that in a sec. So the login duration times and the breakdown to profile, GPO, etc. What's new in V6 is some of the new protocol metrics and upload time. So let's cover them. So one thing we added here is the real-time bandwidth usage for each session. Okay, so this means actually we can now show in real time how much bandwidth each HDX session consumes, both the real-time metric and the session average. In addition, we can show you the session latency. This was actually available in V5. Another new feature in V6 is the bandwidth limit. Okay, so this is how much bandwidth is available, not used, available from the HDX perspective. So this is another great UX metrics because you can see if sessions are capped from a bandwidth perspective or not. And finally, this is pretty exciting. This is one of my favorite features in V6 is the app load time feature. Okay, we now actually show you how long it takes to launch applications inside a desktop session. Okay, so we'll cover each and every one of these new metrics in details. Okay. So just before I show that, I see a question from the audience about the PVS RAM cache. So yes, another feature we added in V6, let me show you. Let me focus on my Zen App 6.5 farm. Okay, these are actually provisioned servers using PVS 7.6, and you can see here this is a new column we added in V6. We can now show you the exact usage of the RAM cache in PVS. Okay, so the number here is actually how much memory is being used by the PVS RAM cache feature. Okay, and obviously you can configure triggers for that, and if it's crossing your RAM cache size and it's starting to overflow to disk, you can get a notification, which is pretty great. Okay, moving forward to the user experience module. So let's start with the brand new bandwidth column. Okay, so now we can actually show in real time how much bandwidth is being consumed by each user. Let's look on one of my sessions here. Okay, so you see here I have a session running on a 2012 R2 7.6 VDA. Okay, it's running via the ICA protocol, the HDX protocol, and you can see that from a bandwidth perspective, it's consuming right now a bit more than 2.2 megabits, and on average something like 1.5 megabits of bandwidth. Now, this is quite a lot, especially if this session is coming from a physical branch with a pretty limited WAN link. Okay, so the fact that you can see in ControlUp both the branch name, the client IP address, and the HDX bandwidth footprint is really great for troubleshooting issues. Maybe someone is calling from a branch saying, hey, it's everything is slow and we suspect that the bandwidth is an issue. You can go in here, you can group the grid based on branch name and quickly see if you have sessions consuming a lot of bandwidth. Okay, now let's see how we can drill down and see what's actually causing this high bandwidth usage. Okay, so script-based actions. We have an excellent feature in ControlUp, which one of my favorites actually, which enable us as a vendor or our customers to actually import PowerShell scripts into ControlUp and use them for troubleshooting and remediation scenarios. Okay, so this is the script-based action UI. You can do two main things here. Okay, one, you can download scripts from our community store. Okay, so for example, you can see that analyze HDX bandwidth. This is a script I want to show you. It was released only like 2 months ago, and it's already being used by almost 200 customers. And you see the list is quite extensive. We had all kinds of cool scripts. Not surprisingly, the most popular scripts are around analyzing logon duration. All right, so it's really popular. You can see, thousands of users are using them on a day-to-day basis. So you can either, install scripts which are already available, or you can import your own script using the wizard you see here. Okay, so as mentioned, we released a new script that enables you to analyze the bandwidth usage. So I can now right-click the session, choose script-based actions, and run the analyze HDX bandwidth. What we're doing here in the background, we're actually analyzing the HDX performance metrics, okay, for that specific session, and we will show you a breakdown of HDX virtual channels and which virtual channel is actually causing the issue. Okay, so this is the result. Okay, we ran 10 samples. That's the default. we see the overall bandwidth is 1.4 megabytes, which is pretty similar to what we see in the grid. And you can see here that the thin wire protocol is the culprit. Okay, so it's not printers, it's not drive mapping, it's not audio. In this case, it's just thin wire and graphics. Okay, so that's really great. And actually, what I can do now, I can leverage another ControlUp feature. I can actually grab a screenshot of the end user screen. Again, this depending on your privacy policy, you can disable this entirely or enable it only with user consent. In this case, it's a lab, so I'm going to go ahead and just grab a screenshot without asking anyone, and we can see the actual session, and hopefully, it can kind of explain to us why it's consuming so much bandwidth from the graphics layer. Okay, so this is the end user session, and you can see he's actually watching a YouTube video. Okay, obviously this explains the thin wire virtual channel and everything. Okay, now I want to show you something else. This is the actual HDX session running here. Okay, so this is the video, the YouTube video, and this is the bandwidth usage in real time. Now, if I go ahead and stop the video, you can see here in real time that the bandwidth usage will start dropping, and obviously the average will drop as well. Okay, see, so it's dropping to 0.4 megabits, and if we wait for a few more seconds, it will drop to, I guess, almost 0. Okay, so this is, again, just to show that the strength of the real-time metrics and the fact that you can do something and immediately get response. Okay, so we stop the video, the real-time usage dropped to something much more reasonable, and the average is dropping as well. Okay, so hopefully you find this useful as me. Let's move on. Okay, so log on duration. We covered that in pretty in quite in depth in a lot of blogs. So just quickly, I want to show you what we have in the product. So let's look on let's sort this based on group policy processing time. Okay, so what we're seeing here is the overall login duration. In this case, for this CU demo user, the overall login duration to the desktop was 83 seconds, which is pretty high. And immediately we can see the breakdown for profile, group policy, desktop, if it's a desktop session, and all the other components which are part of the logon process. Okay. In this case, it's quite apparent that group policy is the major culprit. Okay, it took more than a minute to load, and that's great. Okay, so without doing any further steps, we can quickly pinpoint the root cause, which is in this case it's group policies. Now, remember the script-based action feature? We can actually utilize the same feature here and run a different script. In this case, the analyze GPO extension load time, which should give us more details about the group policies processing time. Okay, so what we're showing you here, once it's finished executing, we will show you each and every client-side extension that we're running during the logon process. We'll show you the processing time for each extension, and we can also show which group policy object actually triggered that. Okay, so here it's quite apparent that the drive maps policy is causing the issue, right? It takes more than 50 seconds to load, and I can see that the conveniently named, slow GPU processing object caused that. By the way, I'm just doing it by simply what I did here. I simply configured a bunch of drive maps that point to a non-existent file server. So Windows, the way that this GPP engine works is that it times out synchronously for each drive, obviously reaching a 50 seconds load time. Okay, so by utilizing the real-time view and the scripts, I can reach the actual culprit, in this case, a malfunctioning or misconfigured drive maps inside the group policy object. Okay, so that's the log on duration module. Obviously, we also have historical data. We'll cover that later. Now, a brand new feature in V6. Okay, so
hey, there's one question here. Can you also report on historical logon times? So maybe show a report for the entire organization level.
Oh yeah. That's a pretty common question. So the answer is yes. Okay, so we have the real-time console, which will show you what's going on right now. But if we go back, if we go to Insights, okay, the portal you're seeing here, this is ControlUp Insights. This is where we show customers the historical data, the reports, the analytics, everything relevant for their VDI deployments. Okay. So in regards to login duration, we have quite a few reports. One thing we can show in the sessions activity report, we can show for each historical session what was the login duration time, and we also have a login duration report, which gives you an overall overview for your entire organization or for specific silos. We can show you the average login duration for all sessions. You can compare this to the community benchmark. You can see it over time. And yeah, so for sure, we have historical data for all the stats you're seeing in Control. Okay, so I'm quickly going back to the user experience features in V6. Okay, so we have login duration, we have protocol latency, we have protocol bandwidth, lots of stuff that kind of tell you what's the experience. And one of the most exciting features we add in V6 is the ability to track application load times. Okay, so let me show you a quick example here. I have a desktop session in here. Okay, we have a stopwatch. Okay, so this is a desktop session. It just happens to run on XenApp 6.5. We have a pretty big Excel file in here. And I want to show you, from the end user perspective, how long it takes to open this file. Okay, so I'll start the timer, and I'll immediately start the process. Okay, there is like a 1 or 2 seconds gap until I started it. Now, from the user perspective, this is not a great experience. He's waiting for, it should take something like 15 or 20 seconds to open this file. Okay, so I'll wait for it to open. Once it's open, I'll close this. Okay, so from the end user perspective, this took something like 16 seconds, right? I'm removing the gap in my slow time in here. So from the end user perspective, this Excel file took 16 seconds to load, and it's affecting his perception of the environment. Now, in ControlUp V6, let's go ahead and is running on TS20. Let's drill down, and these are the processes running inside the session. And now we have a brand new column, application load time, and you can see that we measured an accurate, we have a an accurate measurement that tells us exactly how long the user waited for Excel to become available and ready for input. So this is great, right? And now we can do this for basically any user mod app. Okay, and I can open Notepad in here, and Notepad is really fast, so it's open in basically 0 seconds. I can open Word, and as long as I'm not opening a massive file, the load times will be pretty quick. And if I'll go back in here, you can see that Notepad record the load time. It's 0 basically, so it's really fast. And in a couple of seconds, we can also see the load time for the Word app. Okay, so this is great for figuring out another layer of the user experience by looking on apps he's running in real time and what's the load time for each application. Okay, and now we can see the Word application that took 1.5 seconds. Okay, so we have the app load time for each process or for each user mode process. And if you look on the session itself, we also have an average app load time column in here. Okay, so this is the average app load time based on the open apps in the user session. So I think it's a great addition to the user experience module in ControlUp. It's really great. One important note about this is that in V6, this feature is disabled by default. Okay, so to enable it, simply go to the app load time setting, check this checkbox, and click on OK. Okay, and that's it. By default, we're looking on Office apps and browsers. And if you want to add your own apps, like Epic, EMR, Oracle, Java, whatnot, just click on Add Rule, type the process name. Usually, you can leave the parameters as is and click on OK, and that's it. From that moment on, we will start monitoring the upload time for these apps. Now, one thing I want to mention about the upload time, we're actually about to release a utility that will enable both our customer base and basically anyone out there in the VDI community to measure upload times even without ControlUp. Okay, so hopefully you see my screen now. I'm now showing you the upcoming application profile utility. Okay, so hopefully we'll release this utility in a few weeks, and this utility serves two purposes. Okay, one purpose is to give you a deeper analysis of the app load times in ControlUp. Okay, so you can actually, if you enable debug logging in ControlUp, whenever an app is open, we will write a debug log with all the data, and you can open the debug log in here and see exactly how we calculated the app load time. You can see the application DLL count and load rate. You can see the I/O usage. You can see visible windows, and you can see why we decided, like in this case, that it took 12 seconds to load. The other use case will allow you to actually run your own apps using this utility and measure the upload time. All right, so Excel in here. You can go back to the app profiler. By default, we wait 20 seconds before we decide when the app was open, and you can use this for benchmarks, right? To basically to anything that makes sense. Okay, so once the initial time has elapsed, you can see that we identified that Excel took almost 3 seconds to load. Okay, so again, we will publish this utility for everyone. You can use it both to do some deep dive into the log files, or just measure upload times without even running the console. Okay, so that's pretty much what we added from the user experience point of view. Pretty exciting stuff, I think. Hopefully you agree. I want to move on to some of the new insights reports we added since the launch. Okay, so we had a quick taste by looking on the log and duration reports. I actually want to show you how we can use insights to troubleshoot historical performance issues that were happening on your vSphere cluster, and now you can actually use insights to drill down and see which VMs or which apps are causing these bottlenecks, and basically use insights as a historical troubleshooting tool for basically any performance issue. Okay, so for that I'm going to click on the host trends reports. This report, I'm sorry, I probably waited too much here. Let me quickly log back in. Yeah, demo gods, I pissed them off probably. So we log back in, we'll go straight to the host trends reports. Log back in. So before, we'll give you visibility to historical data. We can go back a day, a month, a year. This pretty much depends on your, depends on your licensing, on your license type. Okay. Now, looking on the host trends report, we will show you CPU, RAM, I/O, and network trends for either your entire host population or specific host. Okay, you can decide what you want to see. We're now looking on 1 week worth of data, and if you scroll down to the I/O utilization chart, you can see that actually today we had a pretty intense I/O peak in here. Okay, and I can click on the data points, and insights will show me which specific host had the highest I/O usage, which in this case explains this issue. Okay, so I can see that ES603, one of my ES6i hosts, had a pretty high I/O usage peak. I can now click on that specific hypervisor and see the stats for that specific host. Okay, so I'm looking at the same time frame, and now I can see the crazy high I/O usage peak here. Okay, so let's click on the data point, and now because we're now looking on a specific host, insights will show us a list of the top 5 VMs that actually caused the high I/O usage. Okay, so in this case I can see it's CRSH1. It's one of the VMs running on this host. In this case it's clear cut. It's the one VM causing the issue. So now insights allows me to click on that specific VM, and now we're actually looking on the computer trends report. Okay, this is a report that shows basically the same stats in the same time frame, but now for a specific virtual machine. Okay, so I can now see the same I/O peaks from the VM perspective, and let's click on one of the peaks here. And since we're looking on a single VM, insights will now show us the offending processes. Okay, the apps or the agents that actually caused the issue. Okay, so in this case, I can see that the process named DynamoEXE is the specific process that caused the I/O issue. Okay, now I find this quite amazing. Okay, because it's not common to see this rich data in a historical platform. Okay, you can go back a month and see which specific agent or app or user caused an issue on your data center, and it's pretty great. Okay, now, so this was from the historical perspective. And by the way, you can do, obviously, if the issue is happening right now, you can do the same, basically do the same trick in the real-time console. Okay, you see here, we see in this case, we see that. Let's do this, okay? You can see, pretty high I/O usage on one of the hosts. You can do the same trick, right? You can drill down. You can see which VM is actually causing. Let's sort here. Sorry. We can sort based on these writes or reads. We can see, which VM is causing an issue. Drill down and see the process in real time. Okay, just like we did in the insights module. Okay, so the point is you can identify trends in the insights module, and if something is happening in real time, you can always do the same drill here. Okay, and this is pretty. I think it's pretty neat. Okay, so some new reports we added since the launch of Insights. One of the most requested reports was application usage. Okay, so based on our process data, we can now basically. Okay, wait for it to load just a sec. We can now actually select apps, right? This could be, sorry, let me expand the time range a bit, just a sec. Okay, so we can basically select any of the apps running in our environment. Okay, this could be Outlook, Word, SAP, Oracle, whatnot. And by running this square here, we can see the concurrent. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose Outlook, for example. Hopefully we have some data for that. Now, we can either run the query against all versions, or we can go ahead and select versions if we have more than one version running in our environment. Okay, so the point of this report is to show us over a trend of time how many users are running the app in any given data point, and we also show you which specific users are running this app. Okay, so the chart will show you the concurrency over time, and below here in the usage details table, you can actually see a full list of users who are using this app in your environment. Okay, now usually it's pretty big queries, so it might take up to 20 or 30 seconds to generate the data. Okay, so be patient here, but I think it's great data, right? And you have it for as much time as you have the license for, and you can query each and every process running in your environment. So it's pretty great. Okay, so in this case you can see that Outlook pretty steadily is running 15 instances over a course of 1 week. We can see how many the peak concurrent instances. We can see the unique users, and once this query will finish, we can see the actual usernames who are running Outlook. Now, by the way, all of this data can be exported. Okay, so you can click here on the export button, and you will export both the chart data and also the actual list of users who are running Outlook or any app in your environment. Okay, another, so right here's the list of unique users. You can see it here, and again, you can export the data to a CSV file and play with this for historical analysis or deeper analysis with Excel. Another new report we added is Citrix license usage. Okay, you can actually select the relevant Citrix license server in your environment, and you will see over time the license usage trend. Okay, and I think it's pretty great. Let's see if I can find the actual license server in my environment. Okay, so we have quite a few license servers. Let's choose the production one. And now Insights will show me, in this case for 1 week worth of data, it will show me the license usage trend. Okay, in this case we're not using the concurrent licenses, so it's pretty steady lines. You can see this is the user device license for Platinum. This is the enterprise, and we do have some servers that use the concurrent license, so you can see it's changing over time here. Okay, but this is pretty great. You can see again in real time. So from an historical perspective, how much how licenses are being utilized in your environment. Okay, and you can also add, by the way, let me show you. You can also add. Let's specifically look on the XD Enterprise total. Okay, it would be in here. We can actually add, let's remove these lines here. This is another nifty insights report where a feature we can actually remove graphs. And now what you see in here, this line represents the actual licenses being used, and this line is the total licenses. Okay, so we have some licenses to spare if someone is interested. But yeah, so you can get, in this view you can see both the used license versus the available license, and this is pretty great. Okay, and finally, because we don't have much time left, another report we added for insights is the protocol latency report. Okay, and by default, we show you the average latency based on your entire, session base. What's the average latency over time, right? And obviously in milliseconds. But you can, specifically select branches. You can display basically a line for each branch, so you can quickly see if a single branch is having issues from a latency perspective. So a lot of data to play with, and again, find issues, analyze trends, and basically improve and optimize your environment. Okay. So in the few minutes we have left, I do want to cover some stats we have from Insights, and we'll see if there are any more questions. We'll try to cover them in the last few minutes. Okay, so as I mentioned, right, so Insights is an online platform, okay? And we have lots and lots of customers using it for day-to-day analytics and historical reporting. Now, we're doing actually something quite unique. We look on the anonymized stats coming from multiple customers, right? We just look on the numbers. We don't care about the actual customer, right? We just look on the numbers themselves, and we calculate all kinds of benchmarks. Okay, so one good example is login duration. Okay, we take the login duration stats we have in our database, and it allows us to configure both the community benchmark, which is kind of a score you can kind of compare your own environment to, which is great because up until now it was all guesswork. You can't really tell what's a proper login duration or what's a slow logon. Okay, and now we have the data, right? The data you're seeing in here is based on almost 100 million historical logons from 300 organizations, and this is quite old, right? The recent data is based on, I think, 200 million historical logons from 600 organizations. So it's growing rapidly. And what you see in here, you see a distribution of login duration averages in organizations. Okay, so you can see that the most common login duration times are between 25 and 45 seconds, and you can see that kind of the best orgs, at least in that respect, are having really quick 10 seconds logon, while the orgs which are less lucky experience more higher than 1 minute logons. Okay, so again, you can use these stats to kind of place yourself here and see if you think you're doing a great job or there is room for improvements. Okay, and we're going to basically look at more and more benchmarks, more KPIs, and share them with the audience, either via blogs or in the product itself. Okay, we're actually planning to release quite soon a report that will show you the RAM, CPU, and I/O footprint for your apps, and it will be compared against the global benchmark. So for example, you'll be able to quickly see if your antivirus engine behaves as expected, or maybe it's consuming much more I/O and CPU than the rest of the community, which means you need to dig deeper and see what's going on there. Okay. So some stats about browsers. This is quite interesting, by the way. The left side pie chart is from our own sample, and you can see that IE still rules here, but Chrome is obviously gaining traction. The right side pie is based on pure consumer data, and there, of course, Chrome is much more popular. And this is interesting because we run this query each month, and we see how slowly but steadily Chrome keeps biting IE share even in the enterprise market. So just another example of the data we have in our database. Something again pretty similar for Office distribution. This was actually quite surprising because we're seeing a lot of enterprises are still running the older versions. Okay, Office 2010, Office 20, Office 2007. And our plan here is to actually start also including the application load time data for benchmarking and comparative analytics. Okay, so think that quite recently, hopefully in a few months, you'll be able to not only compare your logon duration stats or app footprint stats, but also the app load time stats, which are happening in your environment compared to all kinds of benchmark APIs. Okay, so I do want to ask, Amir or Sagnip, if we have any other questions which were quite common and you want me to address now. While they look on their notes, I do want to mention that ControlUp has a free trial, 30 days, so no string attached. Just go to our website, download ControlUp v6, and start the POC. If you use the online mode, the POC is super easy, and if you want to opt to the on-prem POC, again, it's quite easy. Just contact support, and we'll send you the binaries and everything. Guys, any questions you want to cover in the last minute we have here?
I think Amir has almost covered all questions on chat, and we have very limited time left, so I think we can call it off. Amir,
Great.
Yoni, thank you so much. This is a great demo and I can see the amount of responses and that has been coming. There's some almost every question is answered. If there is anything left out, we'll reach out to you with the presentation and recording and the slide deck. And yes, with that said, we are about to end our today's webinar. I want to take a moment again to thank our speaker, Yoni from ControlUp, for making this fantastic presentation, and also Amir, who's behind the studio, for engaging all the audience, sharing great insights with us. Thank you so much. Have a great day.